Hello and welcome to Argentina, the Termas de Rio Hondo circuit here for round 2. We're at turn 13. Unlucky for some, fortunate for others. What a race we have just witnessed. If you thought Qatar was good, I think Argentina has just topped it. Well, where do we begin, boys? We'll start with the race. It was raining, everyone on the grid, wet tyres. Jack Miller was on pole position. He decided to opt for slicks. Absolute drama. I'm going to skip that as much as I can because we've got so much to get through. The big talking point here for me, and I'll start with you, Matt, on this, was Marc Marquez stalling on the grid.
That was the start of all the drama, wasn't it, Steve? Yes, stalling it on the grid was his first big mistake of the day, and then of course restarting it, which he did absolutely brilliantly to do, but he turned the bike round, went the opposite way on the circuit. You can't do that straight away. He didn't know at the time that was going to land him at a 30-second, a ride-through penalty, which cost him the chance to fight for the victory. Let's not make any bones about it. He was going to cruise to the win here today, but that was the first of not only one big mistake he made today.
He obviously then went into pit lane, and that left Jack Miller out front with a great opportunity with Cal Crutchlow, Johann Zarco and Alex Rins all behind. At that point, anyone could have won the race.
Yeah, and Jack did run a good race, didn't he? He was looking strong right until the boys started giving him a hard time, and he made a couple of mistakes. And I think that really cost him. He did his best laps right at the end, the last couple of laps of it, and without those mistakes, I think he'd have been a little bit closer.
We can't really talk too much about Ducati and Movistar Yamaha just yet because they didn't really have a great day. Those guys were fighting, and we'll talk more about that brilliant race at the front in a moment. But then there was even more drama. Marc Marquez was sailing through the pack, carving his way through. The first thing I need to bring up is what happened here with Aleix Espargaro.
Well, he went for a pass, an aggressive move where there was no room, Steve. Clattered into the side of Aleix Espargaro. That meant Race Direction had to act quickly again and make him drop back one position. We thought that was possibly the end of a pretty eventful day for Marc Marquez, but it wasn't. There was another penalty coming, and of course the major talking point, unfortunately for Cal Crutchlow, the race winner, what everybody's going to be talking about, that controversial moment between Rossi and Marquez.
Your thoughts on that?
You know, Marc did really push his luck today, and I thought he deserved a black flag in the end, But the thing is, let's face it, the reason most of us love Marc is he pushes the limit more than anyone else, And it's not easy to pass people that are pretty close speed to you, coming into these corners. So I think, just somebody needs to draw the line. That's all. But we love Marc for pushing that limit.
One thing is for sure, the feud is back on. Marc Marquez went to try and apologise to Valentino Rossi after not having any of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was shades of Malaysia 2015 all over again, wasn't it? There's been, as we know, bad blood between those two. It all started actually here back in 2015, the great Marquez-Rossi showdown. Yeah, it turned ugly again today. And Marc, you've got to say, everything he didn't need to do today, he did. He was coming through the pack. He was going to take 5th place. He was going to salvage a great bunch of points, having had a ride-through penalty in the pit lane. It was going to be a phenomenal ride, but he's created headlines for all the wrong reason. Valentino Rossi dumped on his backside right here. It's going to be the huge talking point. This is going to rumble on and on and on. Marc, for me today, he overstepped the mark. He was too aggressive. You can't be hitting the side of riders and taking them out of races. We like to see him aggressive, but for me, it was over the limit today.
Believe me, that will go on into Austin. We're actually stood next to the clump of grass where Valentino Rossi went into. This left a fantastic fight at the front. 3 guys really going at it. Unfortunately for Jack, he just got swept out of it. He made a mistake here. He ran wide. That was his race over. But it was a tough call to decide who was going to win between Cal, Johann and Alex.
It was an excellent race. Smoke pouring off the back of Rins' Suzuki. And both Zarco and Cal put the race together amazing at the front, when Rins dropped off the back a little bit. And I think, to me, you can't take away anything from either of them. They both put it together perfectly. You could see them searching the best way across those patches of water. One would go inside, one would go the out, and trying to find something on the other. But in the end, I think Carl's Honda had a little bit down that back straight compared, unless he was getting a better drive on the back straight. I think the Honda just had that edge down the back straight, helped him get there.
Cal's always been really strong in Argentina, and the last couple of laps were so exciting. It was a real hard one to call, but Cal on the last lap, take your hat off to him. He had to defend against a guy who we know will go for it.
He did. It was a real nail biter, a real cliffhanger. fair play to Cal. All weekend, Steve, he said if Marc Marquez, we know Marquez was the favourite, and if Marc had not had all the dramas, he was going to win the race quite comfortably. But Cal has had great pace every single session, dry or rain. He was right there inside that top 3, and sometimes you've got to be there to pick up the pieces. He trampled all over Marc on a bad day, and he leaves going to Austin now, leading the MotoGP World Championship, and Cal's in a great place. He's capitalised on the improvements that Honda have made this winter. Who would have thought that Cal Crutchlow would have been leading the World Championship heading to the round 3 in the title? It just adds to the intrigue and the spectacle for all of us. It was a phenomenal afternoon's action.
Let's not forget he's taken Honda's 750th Grand Prix win as well. Quick word on Ducatis. An awful weekend, but Andrea Dovizioso, how lucky is he to come out of this with more points than Marc?
Exactly, you know, that'll be about the only thing positive you can take from the weekend, you know, watching Jack out in front, you know, doing the job, and he's not. It's got to hurt, got to smart, but he salvaged more points than Marc, so I think that'll count later in the season.
The Yamaha struggling as well. Maverick and Rossi, before that incident, they weren't in the running for a podium.
No, they weren't. They were fighting at best to probably be inside that top 6. Again, they were outperformed by Johann Zarco. His time will come. Zarco threw everything, didn't he, at Cal Crutchlow? You've got to say, as you rightly pointed out, Steve, Crutchlow rode brilliantly on that last lap. But if you look at Zarco's recent history, just quickly, 6 successive front row starts. He's actually led every one of the last 5 Grand Prix going back into last season as well. His time will come. Today just wasn't his day, and as always he admitted he was just beaten by the better and faster man.
In terms of this Grand Prix as a whole, what are your thoughts? Because we've had 6 potential opportunities for people to get on the podium, 6 different riders. MotoGP is in a great state as we head to America.
I think that it was very hard on the riders and crew chiefs in that. This one, I felt the tension on the grid. It was just, they couldn't even talk. They were going, what should we do? And I felt sorry for them about that, and the public had to watch a bit longer, but I think it turned out a barnstormer. It was brilliant. So, and it's thrown another cat amongst the pigeons, you know, meaning swapped everything around. Marc didn't get to get a lead on everyone, so I think it's good for the championship.
And quickly, one quick question, can Cal Crutchlow fight for the World Championship?
Of course he can. He's had a great start to this year's World Championship, close to podium in Qatar, won here today in Argentina. First British rider, believe it or not, since Barry Jean in 1979 to be leading the Premier Class World Championship. MotoGP's never been a better state. Great to see Alex Rins on the Suzuki on the podium as well. Independent team riders like Zarco fighting at the front. We've never had it as good as this. We can't wait to go to Texas in 2 weeks' time.
Believe me, this race will be talked about all season long, and this is going to rumble on to Austin, and that's where we're going next in a couple of weeks' time. Thanks for joining us here at the Termas de Rio Hondo circuit in Argentina. We'll see you in Texas.
Marquez. Oh, he's gone! He's going to knock him off! Oh, he's done it again!
and
Rossi's
on the grass.
down! And that's Marquez's crash again! Out of the slipstream comes Cal Crutchlow, and he leads again. What a race it's been! Cal Crutchlow wins!
And he leads the championship right now as well.